Yeah. I would say it was very difficult for me to get information in the beginning. I knew nothing makes sense of the papers I got, and I fear God. Like I have a high fear of God, and I've been trying to live in the light really, and done everything correct. So I knew there was like nothing wrong in that sense. I got a paper after maybe 10 months from one of the lawyers, and it was actually a paper. I sit it with it here in my hand, and I needed to read this many times, and it really make a little more sense. It was about actually an investigation we acquired for the ICE officer who detained me, the guy who arrested me in the beginning. Because one of the things that's written on this paper was that we now got a witness statement who support that in September of 2022, that is actually, I got detained in July, so that is 3 months or 2.5 months after I got detained. This officer, he contacted a civilian on the outside and said to him that they should go to Homeland Security and falsely accuse me of human trafficking. So the whole human trafficking thing that suddenly was on my records, on my papers, according to this witness we have, who under oath have testified, it came from that officer who detained me. So try to imagine this. I got detained by an officer, and 2 months after I was detained, he tried to start a criminal investigation against me by falsely accuse me of human trafficking. And that also did that people who tried to help me, we know there was some senator, other people who tried to come into the case in the beginning. They saw my records, my file, and everyone who saw, hey, he's being investigated by FBI for human trafficking, what do people do? Hands up. We don't know this guy. We don't want to touch it. And it was scary to understand that those people who actually put me in jail was actually behind much of the lies. And on this paper, there's so many things he did. There is just that show he had a personal agenda to get rid of me. And what we know, we found out later, is that he was connected with accusers from Denmark. So I actually fled Denmark to come away from this. And one of the guys who was behind some of the lies in Denmark, he actually sent me an email when I came to America, and he said, finally you will come to America, so now I can destroy you and I will get you to jail because I have contacts in Washington. And I got that email. And, I didn't put more into it because, people can bring lies, but that was the main reason.
Yeah.
That the accusers from Denmark, people who was part of government and worked with different things in Europe, had a hand in all of this. And that was scary. And I want to say it was very intimidating to be in there because my treatment was different. For example, my officer who came to my ICE officer inside the jail, when he came with paper, he wanted me to sign papers. And it was like, I said again, I need my lawyer to look at it first. And he got irritated every time. And one time I said, have you sent it to my lawyer? And one time he said, no, I've been told I'm not allowed to talk to your lawyer. So he had been dictated from higher up that he was not allowed to speak to my lawyer. And one of the most scary moments was actually 2 weeks before I got detained, I got set free. I was called in to a room with 2 ICE officers, where one recorded on a video. I was put on a chair, and I was given papers. And it was papers if I don't give them everything they provide. And there was a lot of things I did not understand, like with numbers and things. If I don't do this and this and this, I can be federal prosecutor and I can go to jail up to 10 years. And he gave me that paper, and he was irritated, and he wanted me to sign. And I've been told, don't sign anything before I talk to my lawyer. And I said, hey, I cannot sign. I need to talk to my lawyer. And he was angry. You need to sign. And said, I have a lawyer call in 2 hours. Give me 3 hours. Just be back in 3 hours. I have a lawyer call in 2 hours. It's not on your timeline. It's not on your timeline. It's our timeline. You need to sign right now. And I couldn't sign it. And then he said, so you are going to remain here, and we are going to federal prosecute you. And I was like, what is going on here? And then he lied to my face and said that I've said something to my lawyer I haven't said. And there was the people who had me in there. And I have episode of the other people in my dorm who came to me like, what is going on, Torben? And I actually ended up being the dorm as long as anyone else. Like I was moved to another dorm with mainly people from Mexico and Honduras and so on. And most people was only there 3-4 months, but I was there like 13 months. So I was there longer than anyone else. And it was scary. And I would say the greatest gift I got was on my second birthday in jail, where we actually gave out a video with Chairman Clay Higgins from Louisiana, who actually stood up in the government, in the parliament, what is called in America, in the Congress in America, and said that we believe that Torben is being persecuted by this administration because he's an evangelical Christian. And finally, I was like, finally somebody stand up and put words on it, because I think the hardest in the beginning is that I heard a saying was, no one is in jail unless they've done something wrong. And I had like, most people thought, okay, Tom, he's not doing human trafficking. That is too insane. And weapons smuggling, that is too much. But he must have done something wrong, because no one, I've heard that so many times, no one is in jail innocent. And when I hear people come with a statement like no one, I can come with one person. Let's talk about Christ. I can come with many others. Let's talk about Peter, Paul, James. Let's talk about the early disciples. Let's talk about the early believers. Let's talk about Christians all over the world.
Yes.
Like there's thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people who is in jail because of their faith.
Yes.
But we are not used to it in America. We are not used to this level of persecution in the West. And it go back to the beginning. God sent me to America also saying, make my people ready because America is not ready for what is coming. And I became like symbol of that.
Right. Yeah. God said, okay, here's how we get the message out more loudly than your words.